Sipho, when did you and I meet?
I think around 2014, 2015, yeah.
2014, 2015.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand over to him, and if they have any questions, they can ask whenever you feel it's
and if I don't have the answers, I'll defer to you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good, I'm here.
Hi. Good afternoon. Thanks for your time. It's always nice to have a conversation with smart people like yourselves. I've been told that you are great facilitators and other stuff as well. And I'm sure some of you saw me changing the dates. The information I'm going to share with you is definitely not 2021. It's just that the slide I needed to use dates back to 2021. So please, this is not stale information. It's information that is still useful.
Say something about the long journey.
Of course.
That we've been on.
Well done, you know. You always do this to me, yeah. Which I like. My name is Sipho Kumbi. I've seen some faces here. Hello, Jay. It's been a while since I last talked to you, and obviously our honorable doctor, and I'll share a lot of stuff here because we've worked with. My name is Sipho Kumbi. I'm with the Sanlam Investment Group, and Sanlam Investment Group is one of the clusters within Sanlam Group overall. We are much more focused on investments. And I'm the head of human capital there. And I think some of you have engaged with some of the people that I kind of support in that business. There's lots of prima donnas because 78% of our employees are CFAs. 54% of them are CAs. 18% of them are quants, so they're more into STEM, and about 8% are in engineering, and the rest, about 4%, more generic profile, qualifications as well. Why am I sharing this with you? It's because my presentation is really about that. It's about how do we nurture exceptional talent into leadership position. It is tough for most of them. Really, really tough, to an extent that some of them don't want to be leaders. But because of their seniority, we want them to be leaders. And the internal conflict between them valuing their profession and the leadership call, a lot happens within them. Then if you then multiply that with the impact it has in terms of relating with the teams that they manage and also leading the business. When they talk about the numbers, they get excited. When they talk about the people issues, you see them sweating. My professor at school used to say, if you don't study for your exam, you will sweat like a goat. And when you sweat like a goat, no one will see you, but will see you shivering. That's exactly what you see. It's a big, big, big challenge. I'm talking about people in our business. It's a business of about 1,200 employees. The 1,200 employees, 1,100 of those people are in commercial areas. And if you average that, they manage assets of over 7 billion per person. So Sanlam Investment Group, for those that don't know, it's the biggest, most diversified, black-owned investment and financing solutions business in Africa. We manage assets under management and asset under administration of about 2 trillion rand overall. We are the second biggest asset manager after 91. And 91 is bigger than us because of their listing in the UK, and therefore we can't compare with pounds. But like for like, we are the biggest in Africa. But that comes with a big, big, big responsibility, because we believe we're the stewards of capital, and because we're the stewards of capital, our responsibility is empowering communities and also making South Africa a better country. We are big on ESG, and it's not poster on the wall. 85% of the assets that we manage and 85% of the capex that we allocate or the funding that we allocate is towards ESG. 85% of that. We do that not because we are forced to get big deals from corporates by doing that, but we do it because it's the right things to do. We believe in planet before profits, because you can see what's happening around the world. We want at least to contribute towards reducing carbon emission. That's why when you fly to Cape Town and you see those windmills before you land, we invest in that because we believe in green economy and we believe that's where the world is going. I'm talking about that because it's very important. Every time we engage with people, it's really about that. We are the advisors of the president around a green economy from an investment point of view. We lead the BUSA Inc. from that perspective. So coming back to why am I here, I would just like to share a story around how we partnered with Human Age, by extension Helen. And when I joined Sanlam Investment Group, and that was in 2019, I was with Sanlam. Well, I was with Old Mutual before then, and I was with MTN. That's where I met Helen. But yeah, I joined in 2019, and one of the big asks was, Sipho, we're about to acquire Absa Investment into Sanlam. We'll be spending about 480 million rand then, but that became an 800 million rand budget. But that was one. Number two, help us with the integration of those prima donnas into our business. The second piece was we are sitting with great talent in the business. I showed you the stats. Almost 88% of our business are STEM people plus finance. Great people, but these people have to also get results through people. They come from the world of asset management, which you all know can be seen as a greedy world. And the slogan when I joined was, you eat what you kill. Okay? That's the aggressiveness of that. You eat what you kill, which means if you get that deal, 25% of your PBT will come to you. Wrong measures from a leadership point of view. How did we change that? That was the first thing. Number two, we cannot afford to let these prima donnas out of the door. They are very important to us, but help us change their mindset. Help us change their mindset so that they can see in the value of competing externally in the market, collaborating internally. I said that we're the most diversified investment business. Private equity, ETFs, some of you maybe invest in Satrix. As a business, you have active asset management, passive asset management. When they go to clients, they go as individuals. When they get the deal, they actually do it amongst themselves. The former CEOs, because remember, Sanlam Investment as a company is only 40 years old. It came from a group, Sanlam Group, which is over 125 years old. The status of those businesses are still in the business. And the first CEO drove a message of compete as if you're independent businesses. And they're talking about 12 businesses. Because when you do that, we would like to see your P&L, and your P&L should be better than the other guy. And if you do that, you win. But now the world does not work like that. The world of asset management does not work like that. It's about you share the wallet. So the most important thing was not change the people, but change the mindset, which was the very important thing. So when I was thinking about that, I then gave a call to Helen. And I asked Helen to come to Cape Town to present to the team. And Helen is here, so she can tell you. When we presented to the team, it was a lukewarm session with the heads of SC. It's like, okay, typical new leader bringing new people into the business. I tried to share the story, Jay, around what did you do with MTN, around how do you change people's mindsets. And changing people's mindset is about the mindset, the habit, the practices which show up into the culture of the business. Because that you eat, what you kill, is what you show, but what drives that? It's some of these things are structural, some are behavioral. Well, the structural things actually influence the behavior, because if you are individually incentivized, then you'll drive individual culture. When you start to say, let's share, it's a different mindset. So we had to work through that, and it was a good framework that the team shared with me, and I'm sure you know about it, on how do you actually change culture at an individual, team, and a business level. But we couldn't do that individually. Otherwise, it was going to take us a long period of time. We then agreed with the business that we look at the teams and drive culture change through the teams. And one of the interventions that we put in place was around how to help people lead and get results through teams rather than just them being team managers. Because that's what it was. It was, I'm appointed to manage you as a team, but I don't know how to lead you. That's not what I'm interested. I'm going to put you together so that we can go to PLC and present a proposal. And if we get that from PLC, then we win it. That's not leadership, because you don't grow there, you don't nurture there, you don't motivate there, you don't help people to be at their best. You are just helping them to work as a team, which was a big ask. Then we looked at an intervention which we decided to call Leaders in Action. And we call it Leaders in Action because it was exactly that. It was about how do you help people to lead through others rather than them to lead based on their personalities. So that's the story that I wanted to share. Does it make sense? Okay, let me get to the boring stuff, which is death by PowerPoint. I've already highlighted that. We are really an asset manager business. And as I've said, we are the biggest, most diversified, black-owned investment and financing company. We manage assets under management of about 2 trillion rand. We have presence in the UK, South Africa, Mauritius, India now. So we are growing and part of the stable. And structurally, which is very important, as well, is that because we're an investment arm of Sanlam, we are part of ARC. ARC, that is Motsipe's business. They own 25%, and then 75% is owned by Sanlam Group, which then gets split, because that's how the world of asset management work, into Sanlam Investment Holding, which owns 87%, of which 12% is ABSA. And as I've said, we bought ABSA businesses for about 800 million rand, which we integrated into the business. And based on our business, we are really 3 distinct businesses. There's private wealth, which is for all ultra-high net worth individuals, and then Sanlam International, which I've already highlighted, and then the businesses around Sanlam Investment Management, which is more passive and active asset management. Satrix, I'm sure some of you is the biggest trading platform, and it was a Harvard business case around financial inclusion. It's the biggest in South Africa by far. And then Sanlam Alternative Investment, that's the more of a green economy investment. And then Sanlam Multi-Manager as well. I'm not going to go through the details around that, but if you just look at the skills that sits in our business, because as I've said, my talk with you is really about how do you help exceptional talent into leadership, because the foundation is exceptionally there. We have Sanlam Investment. We're looking at prima donnas that sits in fixed interest, absolute return, balanced, and then equities. Those are different skills. You have skills that sits in Satrix. It's the much more simpler business because it's more of a technology platform. And then the guys just do more of index tracking, which is more around factor-based portfolio. Then you have the multi-manager business. These are the guys that do all the construction around investments, around discretionary fund, how do you multiply with other boutique businesses, etc. And then you have alternatives, very exciting business, the best in the market in Africa, private equity, private debt, infrastructure, real estate, and partnerships. All assets there are into green economy. We don't do anything that impacts on the planet negatively as well. So all the infrastructure setup that you see are within that space, and then global, international as well. So those are the skills that sits in the business. Great talent, but the challenge is on leadership. Culturally, what did you want to move? As I've said, it was very much of independent silos. And in our engagement with the business, it was a bottom-up issue. We ask, what is the aspiration? Where are we going? And the shift was, we have to move away from silos into much more of a coordinated business and innovate through experimentation. That is why the results around green economy talk about it. The second thing is around how do we make sure that we're not just hierarchical, but also we drive fluid, agile structures in our business that will help us grow in the market. Bureaucracy, as you know, is the killer for innovation. But how do we take calculated risk? Because this is money. These are pension funds of institutions, and within institutions are individuals' money. So you can't be reckless about that. Fear of failure and failing fast and learn fast. Favoritism, that thing around you eat what you kill. Favoritism, because I'll give the biggest deal or potential deal to the person that I like, whether it's based on race or it's based on whatever. That is favoritism. And how do we drive that and drive authenticity and empathy? There to also shift to say, how do we drive compassion as well in the business? But at the end of the day, it was all about moving away from innovation solutions to client centricity. It's like asking those that are into football, it's like asking a player who's used to play with the left foot to now start playing with both feet. It sounds very simple to move people from being product into client centricity, which means how do you co-create across multidisciplinary areas, but also doing it for the client to say, if I was the client, how would I do it? Because it might not give you the beeps. Those that are investments understand beeps. Beeps is like, what do you get? What's the juice on top of the product as well? How do you do that without thinking about beeps as well? And we ended up through the exercise we did with Human Age, distilling this bottom up with employees into managers around the shifts. And then we ended up with what is the outcome and the results, and that is client centricity. Number two, what are the values and the behaviors that will help us shift that market? And if I were to ask you the values that we came up with, innovation, care, integrity, and collaboration. If I didn't tell you that I work for an investment company, I just say to you, our values is innovation, care, integrity, and collaboration. Would you say it's an investment company? Assignment, go and look at Investec, RMB, 91, Allen Gray, go and look at their innovation. This is very much around human-centered leadership. And this ended up with leaders in action, because we felt that we can look at this and you think we're a hospital, or you can look at this and think like we're a private school, but we're an investment company. You can still compete, but being humane. And therefore, we drove a human-centered solution. I didn't emphasize the groundwork, but this was really a bottom-up I remember Helena presented the cards, which was the stories from people around the culture that we wanted to shift into that. And you remember how even myself and the CEO were sometimes defensive on the stories that people were talking about in terms of how were we showing up as being bureaucratic. It was a painful exercise, but it helps us to co-create a solution based on human-centered leadership and based on those values. We measure those values now. They're 20% of our weighting in the business. But it helps us to co-create a curriculum and a program around leaders in action. That's where then we pulled in Dr. Gianne, Helena to come and help us deal with this issue. We understood it from the fact that over and above us being in the asset management, this was a management squeeze. We are living in a world of management squeeze. What do I mean by management squeeze? What shareholders are looking for and what employees are looking for. The line manager is squeezed every day. That is just the reality. The most difficult position as we speak, for me at least, is being a line manager. It's good to be a leader. I can throw MBA words and all that stuff, sound smart, but the person that has to make it work in a humane world, when there's socio-economic issues, when the World Health Organization has declared mental health as a pandemic, post the pandemic, when people feel that they are getting salaries below inflation, okay? Give me one company that gave salaries of more than 7%. Give me one, none. Although they spit out the profits that they show. Who has to deal with the line managers? Who has to deal with the employees? It's the line manager. So how do you help a line manager to lead from self, the team, and the business? We're talking about technically competent people, so we will not go into training them about what does it mean to do trading. We looked at solutions that help them, and I'll take you through those as well. So we're very much aware of the line manager squeeze. The second thing around it is that the business was talking about compound growth of about 30% revenue. That's what the shareholder wanted, because the anticipation was that growth would be between 3 to 9%, and that was 5 years ago. Look at it now, growth is less than 1%. But who has to deal with that? It's the line manager, okay? The second thing is, as I've said, with that line manager squeeze, it's the reality. Line managers are expected to be a coach, teacher, cheerleader, connector of things for the team, while also having to look after themselves. It's a big, big ask, let alone the fact that for the first time in the history of humankind, you have 5 generations working at the same time. The expectations are not the same. That is just the reality. Today, I recruit from the graduate program. Through our graduate program, the guys would want to be the CEO tomorrow. They're not like you and I, who says, hey, you have to climb up the ladder. And if you say, no, it will take you 5 years, they say, I want to go and see the CEO now. You say, no, it's not the CEO that makes the decision. You have to talk to the board. Who in the board? The chairperson. Okay, I'm going to talk to the chairperson. You, I'm the head of CEO of HR. You, please set up the meeting. I want to see the CEO. That's the reality that we are living in as well. So that's just the reality of what we're looking at. So as we are embarking on this leadership thing, we have to look at all the disruptions taking place. You know better than that. Employee well-being, I've already spoken about that. I haven't spoken about this, but I would really like you to think about it. I spoke about us managing assets under management of 2 trillion rand, okay? That world in South Africa is about 50 trillion rand. if I ask you today, what is the percentage of black Africans that are managing assets of more than 100 million rand? What's the percentage? How much of that is managed by black asset managers in South Africa? Who wants to give me? 10%, 15%, 30?
I would say 10.
2%. 2% of assets under management are managed by black Africans. 12% are managed by African Indian coloreds. Okay? Globally, 8% are managed by women, and it's the same number in South Africa. It will take more than 175 years if we continue with this pace to get into an equitable number. So that management squeeze I'm talking about, this is another dimension as well. And remember, you also have a white male that has been in the business doing very well. How dare you don't promote them? Where is the fairness? Who deals with that? It's the line manager. Okay? I just sign off, but the person that has to deal with those dynamics, it's exactly that. I'm not going to go through that. It's a lot, but I was just giving it. So managers are expected to be superheroes, but they're not enabled and empowered a lot. And that is also where we are coming from. If you look at Gartner, it's exactly the same thing. That is why, in our view, we said we'll create a leadership in action program, and the focus will be on those values: IC, innovation, care, collaboration, and integrity as well. But the competencies that will drive is client focus, innovation, drive results, collaboration, and being resilient, because we need resilience from those line managers. So how did the curriculum look like? I'm going to skip this because of time. We partnered with Human Age, and we looked at a program that you will not get from Harvard, that you won't get from INSEAD, that you won't get from Gibbs, because the foundation is there. All we needed is to create exceptional leaders with high EQ, with high social intelligence as well, because the IQ is almost there. These guys go through robust assessments, and you go for the best. It's that top up. So we partnered with Helena and the team, and we built a program initially based on these solutions. Crucial accountability, crucial conversations, leadership and self-deception, the outside mindset. 98% of the cohorts, we've been doing it now for over 5 years, 96% of employees recommended this program to their peers. 96%, okay? Which is plausible as well. And the most popular program, I don't know if it's because of the height of your gentleman, but the most popular one is the outside mindset. Most popular program. What we do is that for all the employees that go through the program, Dr. Gianni also attends it. You also attend it in Helian as well. They come back and play back what has been the impact of this program to themselves, to the team, to the peers, and obviously to the leader. I'll share the results, but really great one. Crucial conversations, Dr. Gianni also tried that, 95%. I would recommend it. That is an ENPS score, which is absolutely great. Crucial accountability, there's a lot of work there, even within our team, because it is a very difficult thing. What we find with most of these asset managers is that if the employee does not perform, they default into doing the work themselves, instead of saying, I will help you through the ropes. So that is why that one sits at about 84 or 86%, I can't recall the number, but we understand it. It's because it's the most difficult thing. as well. It happens to all of us. If I have a presentation to make to the board, I give it to someone 2 weeks in advance, and then I'm left with 2 days. But I can see the error rate and all that stuff is not where. What do? I end up doing it myself, because I'll look like a muhu as well. So that's really the issue. But that's just a reality. That's why I want to share with you practical things here, because that's our reality. But as I've said, the Outright Mindset, crucial conversation, absolutely amazing program. That's the issue where we are having. We have been doing this like for 5 years, as I've indicated, very much action-oriented. The first intake was 11 people in 2020. Then COVID hit us around March. We had to blend that with the virtual. And then 2022 took 13. 2023, 21, we are doubling that number to 42 for 2024. And the reason for that is because we've only covered 68% of our line managers. And we want to finish off this by 2025 so that we can move into. So please don't celebrate that, at least we have another contract for that, but we want to cover that. So that's the assignment, is to cover this, but also do a refresh as well. What I didn't say, if you look at that number, okay, I'll show you actually the impact. So that's really the program. We look at intake, and actually the first pilot, we nominated the people ourselves. The second pilot, referrals from the people that have been through the program, approved by the line manager. Highly, highly subscribed. Unfortunately, wanted to keep it small so that there is impact on in terms of the business. So the rest that have not been covered there, it's really the 22% is really people that we will be looking at. This guy, Sanol Kwet, do you remember him?
Yeah.
Do you know that this guy is a medical doctor?
No.
Yes. This guy, medical doctor, parents spent almost like 6 years into the medical field, and then he says, Papa, I don't want this. There's a lot of hunger and poverty. I've been through a program around ESGs, and you know ESGs, sustainability is very important. I want to join a business that's focused on impact investments. So 6 years, maybe down the drain. We then said, look, it's good to be in our business, but you will start from scratch. He did CFA 1, CFA 2, CFA 3 in 1.5 years. Passed all the programs. Now he's our head of ESG, impact investments. But also the leadership side. You can go through that around his reflection about this program. He's not the other one. There's another one called Lincoln Nextin. Exactly the same thing as well. But the true reflection for them, if you read that, is about how this program helped from a leadership point of view to show much more empathy, compassion in the way to do things. Manka is another one, Manka Sebastian. She's actually trained, groomed CFAs, people that we take from STEM into our business. She has made it her calling to actually be a buddy to those people. In the past 3 years, she's mentored, coached 3 kids from rural communities into our business and coached them through CFA 1, CFA 2, CFA 3 within a period of 3 years. Why is that important? It's because we plant with line managers that they have to lift and rise with others. That becomes a way of doing things, and that's what we are driving. That's why those programs are not about technical development. They are more around helping people to think beyond just themselves. This is another good example. It came from you as well, Chanel. She has outperformed these targets through the program, because it's not, again, just to train people around EQ and all that stuff. It's about how does that relate to you, your community, your family, but also the business. I've looked at Chanel's results. That's why I singled her out as well. She's an account manager within Sanlam Alternative Investments, lead a team of about 10 people. What she signed up as a reflection of this program, after going through this program, was that she wants to get all external fund managers, which means fund managers from Allen Gray, RMB, okay, to align on what Sanlam offers so that they can sell an ecosystem rather than their business. It sounds easy, but it's difficult. You are building Kwaggafontein. Those, I don't know how many of you know, there's a mall called Kwaggafontein. It's like the eastern side of Pretoria. She was managing that. It's a 400 million rand a mall in deep rural areas, motivated for it because of ESG, pulled together corporate, retail into that. You can go and see it's a beautiful one. It helps people now not to travel from Kwaggafontein to Pretoria, which is like an hour to go and buy their groceries and go back. It's now a mall. But that was done through an ecosystem. It was RMB, Old Mutual, and all that stuff. I don't know if it gets through, but what I'm saying is helping people to think beyond just their work and leading people, but look at it from an ecosystem point of view as well. It didn't end there. She motivated for creation of an area for hawkers, 40 hawkers, okay? Then she organized seeded capital from Investec for lock up and go for 30 hawkers into that space. When you go there, you'll see developed by Channel Ruben. It is those hawkers that wanted her name to be there. Of course, there's a Sanlam logo beyond that. So all I'm saying is that this program is beyond just helping people to lead through themselves, and it's really about servant leadership as well with regards to that. Those metrics increase customer satisfaction by 20%. She outperformed that, reduced customer complaints by 50%, outperformed that, has 100% customer retention. I don't know if it's feasible, but we're sitting in a tolerance level. She won the Leader of the Year in 2023 for our business as well. She managed assets of about 100 billion rand. That sits within her portfolio as well. So, as I've said, the measurement for the effectiveness of that of the intervention leaders in action, this comes from their employees, and it's an evaluation of the line manager, direct report, a peer on those. This is a 5-point scale. Look at those bars, okay? Really impressive. And this is the aggregated report of all those that have gone through the program in our business. This person builds high quality relationship with those they engage with. Look at the numbers, okay? Direct report, which is much more important because it's about leading others. That's a blue line. Look at that blue line, shooting closer to the 5. They lead by example. Look at that shift. It is safe to bring up contentious issues, creating a safe space for people to speak up. Look at that number as well. They set and communicate high expectations of all. They provide helpful correction when they observe that people are working against the goals of the company. Look at that number as well. Then look at external client engagement, which is the purple line. They provide helpful correction when they observe that people are working against the goals. Look at that purple. That's like 4.98 as well. Highly, highly impressive. What I'm not showing here was what was the assessment before the program and what's the assessment after. We learned through this process. I didn't want to skew the results by doing it at the end or diluting it, because second year into this program, we realized that when they start enrolling, we must ask the team so that they can look at the before and after. That's why you're not seeing it here, because I didn't want to skew the numbers as well. They engage in difficult conversation when people do not achieve their objectives. Direct reports, look at that number, the blue line. They readily offer help when they observe that people need it. Look at that number. Empathy, compassion, that's what it talks to there. They show appreciation for the contribution of others. The recognition factor, you can see there. They think systematically and create in finding long-term solutions to organizational issues and problems. These are technical people, but you can see the impact of the program as well as you move forward. So really, what did you achieve? Helping those people to lead, helping those people to have the guts to lead with compassion and move away from you eat what you kill. It's very scary, isn't it? Yeah, because you leave blood on the floor. That's where we are coming from. If you contrast those results with what you see there, then you can see. What is our retention in our business? If you take out the call center, our retention rate is about 3% year on year. Financial services, it's 11% overall. We are doing very well in that space as well. Client centricity, we do the Barrett survey, those that know about it. It asks very simple questions. 3 things. What are your personal values? What's the current culture values in the business that you see? And what are your aspirational values? Our top 4 values year on year: client centricity, collaboration, empathy, compassion. If you correlate that to our values, it talks to exactly that. I've already spoken about that. That as facilitators, I'm not a training person, but my reflection, if I have to summarize the role of the line manager, it is that. It's really, really this. Irrespective, I had to go to a hospital to see my uncle who's not well for 3 nights in succession. I look at the line manager shouting at nurses. And it's like, my goodness, you need to go there. You really need to go there. Because these guys, line managers, are really, really, really squeezed. Shareholder expectation, growth, growth, growth. Leader expectation, high performance teams. Employees, do more. That's not enough. Where? Return to office. We tell the line manager, in our space, thou shalt be in the office 3 times a week. It's the right thing to do. It's good for our collaboration. It's good for innovation. It's good for our connectedness. Employees say, hi, boo. Hi, boo. That's not what I want. Goldman Sachs, what did they do? They said, come back to the office, otherwise we'll fire you. Employees didn't come back to the office. The CEO backtracked, changed the narrative, okay? You can't force people to do that, but who has to do the stuff is the line manager. Return to office is a big thing. Responding to psychosocial issues as well. I've already highlighted that. Mental health, I see that every day. Addressing differentiated pay concerns. Why is the inflation running ahead of my pay all the time? Why is my increase so slow when the inflation rate is there? Who deals with that thing? Fairness, equity, and all that subsists there. And then solving quiet quitting. This is also a big one. You have to watch the signs. Who's disengaged? Who's engaged? For how long? How do you keep the team high performing and all that stuff? So as much as the program has been doing well, these are some of the things that we have to look for as we revise our program as well and covering the other 68%. These are just the stats because the numbers talk for themselves. If you look at our business, what are the key things that have jumped in our culture score is around coaching and developing others. You can see that 8% increase. Change agility, building trust and psychological safety. It has jumped to 28%. But it's dropping in terms of priority from the other areas as well. Hybrid, I've already highlighted. Demonstrating empathy and vulnerability, look at that jump there. Decision making, look at the jump. Driving inclusiveness in the business. Those are the jumps. That is the ROI of the program that I am talking about in the business. Then there's the questions that we ask all the time. And we track this since 2017. I am proud to work for my line manager who consistently live our purpose, vision, and values. That's part of our Barrett survey. Look at the scores from 2017 to 2023. We are able to correlate that with the interventions. The more people you train, the more you see the trend line going up as well. Interestingly, I did mention that in 2022, we brought in another 280 investment professionals from Absa Investments. But look at the jump. We injected 200, but that number didn't change, which means if you build the right immune system with the leadership, they're able to absorb things that are new in the business. So for me, that is actually great as well. As I've said, we drive this all the time. Any induction that your talent is not good enough. Your talent is just a multiplier factor. What builds contribution in our business? Of course, the foundation is your skills, qualification, experience, knowledge, attributes. We see that in your CV and our referrals, but the important thing is affinity, belonging in our business. Therefore, diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion is critical, and also alignment to our business as well. These are our average scores of last year from employees. 83%, I have confidence in the skills for the future for this business. Affinity, I feel that I belong to this organization. 91%, 88%, I am aligned to the vision, the strategy of this business moving forward. And that's what culture is all about, in my view, you know? And I think the old man put it nicely that it's all about a good heart, a good head, because that combination is a formidable combination. And we link that to a good head means collaboration, innovation, and a good heart means that value of care. If you do that with integrity, our culture will be great. Thank you very much.